I had a subscriber a while ago, and his channel's actually done well since I spoke to him last, and I'm glad to see that he's gone on to continue to learn and grow in life. And apparently he skateboards, and he knows who I'm talking about if he's watching. But yeah, dude, that's great, dude. I skateboard as well. I'm pretty good, or at least, well, I'm not as good as you, but I used to be really good with flat ground stuff. And I went to a skate park a month ago, and it had been years since I had gone, and I pulled out some old shoes that they don't even make anymore and got on my old skateboard. One of the bearings were messed up. I didn't even know it, and it reminded me, pretty quickly that I had a busted bearing on it. But I dropped in, I did a board slide, I did a rock and roll and rocked a fakie, but I can't do it all the time. My knees will get messed up. I could feel it the next day. I'm getting old. So anyways, this subscriber, he explained to me that, and he has a channel as well. I'll put it down in the link. Put the link down in the description. Why not? He suggested that I tell more stories about myself, which is kind of like difficult for me, because part of this is, reason why I don't have a front-facing camera or anything in my recordings is, I'm kind of trying to remain anonymous. I realize this request isn't necessarily coming from a large demographic. It's, literally one person asked me to tell a story, so I did think of a story, but I want to keep it short. So, the story. So I used to skateboard a lot, right? Young, I was totally into the culture. I wasn't just skateboarding. I was spray painting, I was doing the graffiti, I was doing the fashion, I was doing photo shoots. We were recording videos of me trying to string together as many tricks as I could. I was coming up with new stuff people not seen. I was traveling around the city that I grew up in without even having a car, just making it from point A to point B, finding different spots that I thought were cool. And sometimes they weren't necessarily cool because of the scenery. It was just like, hey, this will string together a bunch of cool tricks in a street setting. And or maybe we'll do the opposite. Maybe we go find some really cool art somewhere, and then we're just like, we're going to skate that, and we just want to make the tricks look dope from a dope angle and get a shot of it, of something that just looks really cool against the environment that looked artistic. So I got into it a little bit. I wouldn't say I was really good or anything, but I embraced it totally. And in doing so, I traveled to the next city over to go skate at a local skate park, because the city I grew up in really didn't have the best anything. So anyways, when I'm skating at this other skate park, I start getting exposed to different types of terrain that only comes in skate parks, really. And so it ups my game. It allows me to start landing the kind of stuff that I would accept in, quarter pipes and slopes and all kinds of stuff like that. Half pipes and whatever else. And when I went there, I met new people naturally. You travel to a new place, you meet new people. And there was this kid there at the time. To me, he wasn't a kid. He was an adult. But, looking at it retrospectively, he was a kid. And I wanted to bring the story up because I feel like if you've gone to a skate park a bunch, then you know this guy. He's in a bunch of skate parks. There's this one kid that doesn't really have a whole lot else. Like, you can tell he's down bad at home. Like, his family is down bad. Like, he has a family, but it's just like everything's in shambles, and he's like, he likes skateboarding, but he really does it most of the time because he's just trying to get away from where he was at. And so he just stays there, skateboarding so much that he gets really, really good at it. But they all have like a sort of wild style a little bit. Like, they're very good and they have so many tricks that they know how to do. But there's like this sense of freedom that's coming from their desire to escape that emanates off of their style, and they skate with a lot of energy, and they're good people. I ran into a guy that was like this. I've ran into two guys that were like this at each skate park that I've been to. But this guy at this time, in this story, when I met him, well, even before I met him, let's start there. So I was a new guy around the skate park, so, people aren't exactly always cool, and people want to jump in front of you in line, and it's all kinds of crazy stuff. And he stuck up for me before I ever even knew who he was, before I ever met him. He just sees, he was like the king of the skate park, low key, and like everybody respected him, not because he demanded it, but because they knew he was legit. They knew he was super cool. They knew he spent so much time there, and he had respect because he was really good at skating. He had that level of power, and even without trying to accept it, they gave it to him, and he used it to be benevolent and good. And anyway, so he sort of stuck up for me early on, and like paved the way for me to get my turn and get in the game and like start getting really good. And I showed people what I could do, and yeah, they had to put some respect on it. Anyways, so at one point he's trying to, I asked him about a trick, I'm struggling, and, he assesses my skills. We sort of skate together for a minute, and I'm like, okay, how do I do this? What do I do about that? And he breaks it down to me, and he shows me exactly what I'm doing that's wrong. And he's like, he's doing the trick in slow motion and in different styles so that I can get the concept. And, he's making it look effortless, and he's watching me get close to landing it, but then failing. And he's still rocking with me like throughout the whole trick before I finally am landing it. And then like I landed it a couple times, and I was like, okay, cool, we did it, high five sort of energy. And then he was like, well, yeah, but you need to get consistent at it. You got to do that like 2 or 3 times in a row. And I'm like following through with the trick to, like you can land a certain trick, but are you going to do it with grace? Are you going to do it with flow? Are you going to, do it in a way that gives it style or anything? There's an extra step that you have to take in addition to your consistency with the trick, right? And so he, even after I was satisfied, he would continue on to, encourage me and help me to move forward with it. And, we practiced that trick even after the street lights came on. I'm like, dude, are you going to need a ride home? Because my mom can help you. And he's just like, nah, he wouldn't accept anything in return. Anyways, that was my attempt at just telling a long story short.